Good morning, everyone. Due to the lack of time that we have, I decided to do a quick little recording of a mid-year TPEP checkup, and hopefully this will give you the information that you need to kind of catch up on TPEP, whether you're on comprehensive or focused. I am on comprehensive for the principal evaluation, which means that I have 8 criteria that I am held responsible for providing some evidence of my growth toward. And I want to share with you what I did middle of the year to make sure that I was kind of caught up and ready for my mid-year conversation that I'm going to have with Pam Veltri, my evaluator. So this is what I see when I log into eval. Now, you don't have to use eval. You can do what I'm doing on paper. Many of you have set up actual physical file folders with one file folder for each criterion. I did not do that. I decided to do it all electronically because almost everything that I do is electronic or digital. But again, remember, you don't have to do that. So when I log into eval, this is what I see. I can either log in here and do a teacher evaluation, or I can log in here and do my own self-reflection or self-evaluation. So I'm going to show you what it looks like for me. When I log in, I have observation dashboard. This is where I see the observations that my supervisor has done of me, or a self-assessment, and this is where I see the self-assessments that I've taken. And so far this year I've taken 2. I took one in September when I first started, and then I took another one mid-year here in January about a week ago. And I want to share with you the process that I went through and encourage you to do the same thing. Again, either in eval or get that binder that we gave you at the beginning of the year that outlines the TPEP process, and inside you'll find a self-evaluation or self-assessment checklist there. So let me show you my January self-assessment. When I click on edit, you'll see that I have these 8 criteria here. Now I have chosen to collapse my panels just so you could see my 8 criteria at a glance. It's a little easier to look at. And over here on the right, you'll see that I have scored myself in most criteria. I'm either basic or proficient. And as a new principal, I have more basics than I do proficient. Within each of these criteria, there are components like there are within yours. So let me expand the panels and show you what that looks like. This is how you'll create or complete your self-assessment if you choose to do it in eval like I did. Just takes a second for it to open. And then as you can see under each criterion, so here's criterion 1, creating a school culture that promotes ongoing improvement of learning and teaching for students and staff. Underneath there are 1, 2, 3, 4 components, okay? So for each component there's a rubric. And there is for you as well. I went ahead and read through the rubric for each component, and then I did a little reflection down here in the evidence and notes, and I uploaded some artifacts that I felt I could show my supervisor when we meet in a few weeks to discuss my progress this year as a new principal. So you can also do this. Now, if you're keeping hard folders, then you would actually just print out these artifacts and put them in your folders. I upload them into eval because that's just as easy for me, and I'm trying to go paperless as much as possible. So I want to talk with you about the difference between an artifact and a piece of evidence. An artifact you can think of as a hard item, a hard copy of something that actually is maybe proof that what you're saying you're doing, you're actually doing. So for example, under promoting positive interactions with parents and community, you may provide a newsletter as an artifact of your ability to promote positive interactions. Now, the evidence is a little different because anybody can create a newsletter and put it into eval, or anybody can do what I've done and upload, data dive sign up, for example, or an example of a nuts and bolts flipped staff meeting, or a crisis plan or a school improvement plan or whatever. Anybody can do those things. The evidence that those artifacts are leading to growth or leading to increased student achievement is a little different. Evidence might be student feedback, for example. So let's say that you claim to promote positive communication with parents and students, and you have a survey and data that show, oh, my students actually, 92% of them believe that, or excuse me, 92% of my parents believe that I have communicated with them sufficiently. That's evidence. The same thing is true for student growth. Data is evidence. An artifact would be an assessment that you gave your kids, a copy of the assessment. Evidence would be the student work that they did on the assessment. So that's the difference, and we can talk more about this in person if you're not sure. But I think what's important for you to remember and for me to remember is that regardless of whether you're on comprehensive or focused, the onus is really on us as those who are being evaluated to provide our evaluators with artifacts and evidence that demonstrate our growth. So although my evaluator is coming to school, coming to Shiloh, observing me lead staff meetings, observing me as I do observation cycles, although she's doing that, nevertheless, I still have to provide her with some evidence. And there are times, I'll be honest with you, that I've gotten a little bit negative or snarky in my attitude about it because it just feels like another thing to do. But after I sat down last Sunday and really went through my mid-year self-assessment, I felt like I had a better handle not only on how I was doing, but on what I need to do to improve. Because before I just felt overwhelmed, like there was just so much I had to do to improve. Now, as I go through the rubrics, I feel a little less overwhelmed. I feel like, yes, I still have a lot to do, but I know what it is that I have to do, and I'm able to kind of hone in on those things. So I just wanted to share with you the process that I went through mid-year, reflecting on each criterion and gathering some artifacts, thinking about what my evidence might be, and getting it all into eval. You can do the same thing with a hard copy of all of the 8 criteria, as well as any evidence or artifacts that you've created or have to show. If you have more questions about this, don't hesitate to ask. I do encourage you again to do a mid-year reflection and think about where you're at, even if you're unfocused. Think about that criterion you're focusing on. What are you doing to show your proficiency levels? What are you doing to grow? And above all, don't stress about this. Don't worry, because we're all learning together, and I realize that we're not perfect at this. We're just going to do our best with what we've got. So again, come to me if you have any questions. Thanks for taking a few minutes to listen to this. And again, thank you for even taking a few minutes to reflect on your own progress. Have a great day.